So Islamic concept of sovereignty, this is the last part of chapter 4 about sovereignty. The basic distinction between the Western polity and Islamic polity is that the Western polity places sovereignty in either the state or in the in charge through the notion of popular sovereignty, but the Islam places it absolutely in Allah Almighty. So when we define sovereignty as the supreme authority or the supreme power, so in the Islamic teachings, it belongs to Allah Almighty. God is the sovereign and He is the source of all legislation, all powers, and the legislation in the form of Quran and Sunnah. The Islamic State based their precepts on Islamic law and constitution, the Sharia. Tawheed, that is the oneness of Almighty Allah, is the most important article of faith in Islam. And the denial of this unity is the greatest conceivable violation of Islamic precept. The Islamic concept of sovereignty is quite clear that all these power or the authority belongs to Allah Almighty. But the Western concept of sovereignty is that the power belongs to a state, or power and authority belongs to a person. So that's why the person, he can use that power or misuse that power against the humans, other fellow humans. But whatever the Allah Almighty has given, that is based on equality and justice. And the real controversy arose regarding the use of this ultimate authority. And in the modern democratic state, no institutions can claim absolute power in this sense was envisaged in the concept of sovereignty as expounded by Boudin, Hobbes, Rousseau, and Austin. Opponents believe that absolute power in any human repository would lead to tyranny. So definitely whenever the power will be given to a human, so definitely he will misuse it, and the tyranny is very much there. So he will definitely exploit the power, and it is a very famous dictum that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So when a human is empowered with absolute authority and power, so definitely he will use it and he will misuse it, and definitely it will corrupt him as well. An Islamic concept of sovereignty is most logical, the explicit, and the realistic one. All power belong to Allah Almighty. Sovereignty of Allah is not limited to any particular sphere, as He is the creator of the universe and governs through His commandments. And He has revealed and sent His message through Prophet Muhammad. And in Quran, Allah Almighty said that Haza bayanul linnasi, that this is a declaration for the people. And this is a book of guidance. And this is an advisory, you can say, for the people who fear God. So Allah Almighty said that, and the last sermon that is known as Khutbah Hajjatul Wada, the Holy Prophet said that I am leaving you with two things. If you will hold them tightly, you will never go astray. Number one is the Book of Allah and my Sunnah. So, the Book of Allah is the direct message of Allah Almighty, which was compiled by the companions of Prophet according to the commandments of the Prophet and later known as Quran. So all powers and all sources of power, they belongs to Almighty Allah. And before going to the attributes, we should talk about the Constitution of Pakistan, which clearly states that sovereignty belongs to Allah Almighty, and it is awarded to the people of Pakistan as a sacred trust. So, like people will use this authority as a sacred trust, एक मुकद्दस अमानत के तौर पे इसको इस्तेमाल करेंगे. So, the universality, the sovereign by definition is universal, as a Muslim community is seen as one ummah, which are united under one sovereign by virtue of their faith and submission to the will of God. And sovereignty of Allah is all comprehensive, as laws of Islam provide guidance in all directions and not restricted to a particular field of human activity. So Islam basically guide their followers in every sphere of life. It is not limited to a or particular field, and that's why Islam is known as Deen. Deen, which actually includes and covers each and every aspect of a human life. So Islam is a complete Deen. Inna Deena Indallahi Islam. The word Islam means complete submission to God in the similar sense that the English philosopher Thomas Hobbes visualized the complete surrender of power by the individual to the state. So, as Western philosopher, they say that the individual must surrender their power to the state. So, in Islam, we believe that all powers must be surrendered, and all our submission must be before Allah Almighty. And absolutism and indivisibility. Allah's sovereignty is limitless and He is the absolute master of whole universe. His absolute authority is indivisible and inalienable. The Islamic concept of submission is more powerful in that it subordinates human will to the will of law, human will to the will and law of God unconditionally. Man, as a God's Khalifa, vicegerent, is not only the primary agent of the sovereign but also enjoys a margin of autonomy. The margin of autonomy, by virtue of viceregency, is the Islamic equivalent of popular sovereignty. Like लोगों को सिर्फ अल्लाह पाक ने जो भी अहकामात दिए हैं वो ठीक है, लेकिन अगर कहीं पे लोग ये महसूस करते हैं कि दे नीड something else, like in the teachings of Allah Almighty, उस पे कोई वाज़े हुक्म मौजूद नहीं है, तो फिर लोग उसके अपने तौर पे भी उसके ऊपर कुछ न कुछ कुछ कानून साज़ी कर सकते हैं। दैट इज़ नोन एज़ इज्तिहाद। तो अल्लाह की जो सॉवरेनिटी है, दैट इज़ लिमिटलेस एंड दैट इज़ एब्सोल्यूट। एंड और वो फिर सारी कायनात का मालिक है। ही इज़ रब्बुल आलमीन, और हिज एब्सोल्यूट अथॉरिटी is indivisible. You cannot divide it and you cannot take it away. What are the implications? That government is accountable to the people. People have been given right of political participation through their elected representative. So government, and particularly in the Islamic state, the government is accountable to the people, and they must ensure that all commandments of Allah Almighty must be fully applied and exercised. And the right of the people, they are have given a chance to vote and to elect their representative. And it is the responsibility of their representative to legislate, to make laws in accordance with the basic teachings of Islam. When we call that Allah Almighty is sovereign, so they must be aware of the commandments, what Allah Almighty said in the Holy Quran. And we have clearly stated in the Constitution that no law can be made which is uh, against the basic Islamic injunctions. So in Pakistan, so the legislator must be well aware of the commandments of Almighty Allah. They have a good knowledge of Quran. Secondly, government is under constant watch, as it is the duty of all citizens to be vigilant. They are supposed to participate fully in public affairs. So government, the Holy Prophet in the last sermon, and the very first sermon when Hazrat Abu Bakr, they took charge as a Khalifa right after the demise of Prophet Muhammad, he said that you should guide me. He asked and addressed to the people and said that you people must advise me or guide me when I am going on a wrong way. So that's mean that government is under a constant watch, like Hazrat Umar, once he was questioned about his clothes, that from where did he buy? So what was the source of income through which he bought these clothes? So this is quite common in Islamic history, that the government officials are always under constant watch and they can be questioned about their sources of income and their living style or whatever. If they are doing something wrong, so they can be questioned and they can be guided according to the basic Islamic injunctions. And Islam does not leave everything on the government only. It's, it is the duty of all citizens to be vigilant. Like if government is not applying all the principles of Islam, so the citizens must come forward and guide that particular government, and they should participate fully in public affairs. Thirdly, better and more effective safeguards are provided for the protection of rights of the people. A suitable balance has been maintained between rights and obligations. So in the Holy Quran, both the rights and obligations are very clearly mentioned. that what duties of person and what are the rights of the person. And Islam emphasize on the protection of the rights of others, that we should respect the life, we should respect the dignity, the property of others. And the Holy Prophet as well, he said in the last sermon that as this day, this month, and this city is sacred, the life, the honor, the property of a Muslim believer is sacred. And you know that in the Holy Quran it is clearly mentioned that you must not kill other Muslims or other humans, because it is considered as the killing of all humankind. And then the punishment is very clearly mentioned that if someone kills, so he must be killed in reward or in revenge. Fourthly, from the head of the state at the top, a common man at lowest, all stand equal in the eyes of Islam. So Islam is a deen of adl, is a religion of justice, equality. So he promotes the equality, justice, and like kunu qawwamin bil qist. Like, so whenever you are given a chance to decide a matter, so you should stand with adl, with equality. So Muslim must understand that while sovereignty belongs to Almighty Allah, it has already been delegated in the form of human agency. Like इंसान के जरिए ही इसको दुनिया तक भेजा गया है. तो the political task at the moment is not to indulge in the rhetoric, but to reflect on how this God-given agency can be best employed in creating a society that will bring welfare and goodness to people here in the and in the hereafter. Muslims as individual and as an ummah cannot be held accountable for what they do unless they have the freedom, sovereignty to do as they please. Allah Almighty is the source of all power, and God's sovereignty should not be taken as an excuse for installing and legitimizing practices and laws which cannot be accounted for developing a clean and just society. Muslim countries' greatest strength is the fortitude and compassion of its people and the Islamic values they uphold. And most important thing for Muslim is to introduce themselves as servants of Allah, subservient to His will and upholders of the Quranic teachings, and let others decide whether they are their friends or foe. We see that in recently a drama serial Artogral we are watching on the TV, and everyone is a fan of that drama. तो बेसिकली वो इस्लामिक हिस्ट्री से चूंकि लिया गया है वो सारा कुछ, तो इस वजह से वो सारे लोग उसको पसंद कर रहे हैं, और हमारे जो बाकी ड्रामा चलते थे हमारे यहाँ उसको लोग तो बेसिकली एक उम्मा के तौर पे इस्लाम आज भी लोगों की ज़िंदगियों में उतना ही पॉपुलर है, अगर हम उसको सही तरीके से अप्लाई कर सकें. इसके बाद आपके पास अगर कोई क्वेश्चन है या कोई क्यूरी है तो आप पूछ सकते हैं।